Do you remember last month when I did my movie haul video and I said that I thought June was going to be a little bit of a lighter month? I severely underestimated it.
Welcome back, sir. All systems for gaming will be prepared in a few minutes. For now, feel free to grab a cup of coffee and have a good day.
Hey everyone, Mike here. Welcome back to the Marvel Man Cave, and it is that time once again. I'm going to do my monthly movie haul. And yes, last month I said that there wasn't a whole lot coming out, and I thought it would be a much lighter month. Then, I guess that would have been May. Well, something happened. I'm not sure exactly what. It was confluence of events that really, between some sales that happened online for some movies that I was looking for, and honestly, a whole lot of finds from the flea market. We did some yard sales during the month of June, and I traded in some movies that I'm going to start with now because if you saw last week's video where I talked about what I was purging from my collection, I went to the store, I had that $10 off coupon, and I also got credit for a lot of the movies I traded in. So I came home with some stuff. So we're going to start with this haul, and then I'm going to go through this and then go through all the other ones kind of in the order that, not that I got them, but, kind of talk about where I got them from. I think that's the best order because then it'll show you how kind of I stayed within my budget, but it's just a lot of movies, which is great. More movies, less money. Who can argue with that? But if you'll remember last week, I mentioned that I had had a stack of movies that I was purging from my collection, and I was taking it to a disc replay, a local store here that buys back used movies and stuff like that, and that I would do a follow up with it. Well, it turns out they gave me $140 worth of store credit, and I spent all but $17 of that. Nice thing is, I can go back and spend the last $17. So I got some stuff that sometimes I might not have picked up, but movies I like, but I might not have paid, the $6 for them. But since I was getting store credit and I was there, I went ahead and picked them up. So we're going to start with one of those, which is the movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise and Morgan Freeman. I just recently rewatched this, and it is a very, very fun movie. I enjoy it. I just grew up in that era. I like Tom Cruise. My wife can't stand him, but I really enjoy his movies, especially his action movies. So I was really excited to pick this up and looking forward to watching it again. And then I got Willow for $7.99. This was another one. It's just a classic movie. It's one of those movies I didn't want the 4K steelbook of it because I enjoy this movie, but not $30 to $40 worth of enjoy. But for $8 worth of enjoyment, this is right up my alley. The original Hangover, $5.99. I absolutely detest the last two movies in the series. It just really felt like a cash grab for those two. But the first one is absolutely hilarious, and it's one of those. This and Wedding Crashers are probably two of my favorite comedies of all time. So I just wanted to finally pick this up and add it to my collection. Movie Get Out with Jordan Peele. I've seen this in the Steelbook with the movie Us, and I like Us, but that movie kind of freaks me out. So this is a more rewatchable movie for me. I've watched it several times and figured it was about time that I actually owned it on a physical disc. And then I picked up X-Men The Dark Phoenix. This is I've been putting this one off for a while, which is kind of ironic because I thought this was the last X-Men movie that I needed to complete my X-Men collection. Because as you know, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I'm kind of working on completing, at least getting all the pre-MCU Marvel movies into my collection. And I thought this was the last one that I needed. So it was obviously, I think it's the by far the worst of the X-Men movies. You know what? Check that. The Last Stand, I have a visceral hatred for. So it's the second to worst movie of these X-Men movies. So I picked this one up just to complete the collection and have all the X-Men movies, or so I thought. But I did end up completing it later. Quantum of Solace, the James Bond. This is the only one. I really want this in Steelbook because I own all the other Daniel Craig ones in Steelbook. But this one seems to be a little bit out of my price range. But I wanted it at least on 4K. I know this movie isn't the best of his James Bond movies, and I know it had problems because I think it was during a writer's strike and they had some issues with the script and stuff like that. But I watched it, I think last year, and I still kind of enjoy it. And I love the Daniel Craig Bond. I just think my dad's Bond was Connery. I grew up with Pierce Brosnan, and a little bit of Timothy Dalton as my Bond that I grew up with. But Daniel Craig for me, I really enjoy him, and then Connery's 1A. They're both 1A, but no, those are my top two Bonds. The Expendables, the Sylvester Stallone marathon continues. This is one of the ones I picked up. I know you can get the Steelbook pretty cheap. They had Expendables 4, which I really only like the first two, so I think I'm just going to get this one and the second one and call it quits. But I really enjoy this first one. This first one is a whole lot of fun. And then Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. This is another one I've seen these on Blu-ray, this one and the first one, in a number of places, but I really want these on 4K. My wife and I really enjoy these movies. They're a lot of fun. They're way more fun than I thought they were going to be going in. So when I saw this for $7.99, I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about it every time I see them. I'm finally going to pull the trigger and pick it up. And then I picked up the Alien vs. Predator double feature. I was talking to my friend. I watched Predator Killer of Killers last week, probably 2 weeks ago if you're watching this video. And between that, Alien Romulus, and obviously Prey, it has kind of brought me back to the Alien and Predator franchises, which I told my buddy I'd given up on Alien, Predator, and Terminator for ever making good movies again. Still waiting on a good Terminator movie, but I wanted to go back and watch these. It was $5.99. I have not sat down and watched these two yet. I've been working through the other. I watched the original Predator, Predator 2. I have not seen, I think it's Predator, the kind of remake reboot that not Predators with Adrian Brody, whatever the other one is. They get a little confusing there. But I remember seeing these way long ago and figured I was like, you know what, Alien and Predator, why not? I watched the Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection a couple days ago, so I'm kind of working my way back through the series to refresh my memory before I get to this one. Demolition Man. This is another one. I know, I think it was Arrow that released the 4K of this, and again, the Sylvester Stallone kick continues. I really enjoy this movie. I just wasn't sure if I enjoyed it enough to spend the $30-$40 on it. So I saw this for $5.99 in the store, and I'm like, you know what? I think a Blu-ray version of Demolition Man is going to be perfect for me. It kind of fits in with a lot of my other Sylvester Stallone movies that I already have. So I picked this one up for $5.99. And then Bumblebee, and this one, it cost $19.99 for the 4K Steelbook. And to be perfectly honest, like, I remember watching this almost reluctantly because obviously I am a child of that era. I grew up watching Transformers every weekend. I love the Transformers, especially Generation 1, but the Michael Bay series had kind of turned me off for a number of years. And then Bumblebee came out, and I didn't see it in theater. I waited till it came on streaming, or I got it at home or whatever, and finally watched it and was like, this was really good. This had no reason to bomb. I think it was just a result of the Michael Bay fiasco towards the end. They kind of, in my mind, ruined the franchise. But this one was really good. I also really enjoy Rise of the Beast. Like, those two movies, I think, are on the right track. So we'll see where they go from there. But I really enjoyed this one, and when I saw it in Steelbook, and plus it's a nice yellow Steelbook. I mean, that's a nice color. I don't know. I have Kill Bill Volume 1, but this will be a nice Steelbook to add to the collection. And then if you watch that Purge video, you know that I was hoping that they would have the complete series of The Newsroom still on Blu-ray when I went. This one, it is an import version, but they said that it was region free on the front, so I have no doubt that this is going to play in my player. But this is one of my favorite series. I have watched this series a number of times on HBO, and I just, with HBO removing stuff, and now with the whole thing with their splitting HBO, like, I don't even know, really can't even really explain what they're doing because I don't 100% understand, but I know they're splitting their stuff, and I'm like, what's going to happen? It seems like they're getting ready for a sell-off of some sort. So the Blu-ray case, not in the best shape, but those can be replaced. But I wanted to pick up this series because it's just one of those. I love Aaron Sorkin's writing. I thought Jeff Daniels in this was phenomenal. I love the cast. It's got Dev Patel and a bunch of other people whose names I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is phenomenal. I told my wife I think this is one that she might enjoy, so I would like to try and start watching this through with her to see if she would. That takes care of the stuff that I got from Disc Replay. As I said, I got $140 worth of credit I also had a $10 off coupon that they give whenever you buy something from the store. So the total came to like 120 something. I have like $17 left over that I can go back and use at any point in time. It doesn't expire. So I will plan on doing that at some point, probably in the next couple months. There's a couple movies that just a couple movies that are coming out in theater that I want to see, so I can always find an excuse to head down that way because it's about a 45-minute to an hour drive for me. So it's local, but it's not really that close. Next up, I'm going to do the ones that I got from my buddy in Michigan. He sent me a message over on Facebook, which you can follow me over on Facebook at Marvel Man Cave. He sent me a message over there saying he was getting rid of some more of his movies in the collection. He sent me a picture and was like, "Do you want any of these?" And among them was the Tenet Steelbook on 4K. And as you saw in that purge video, I had the 4K of this, but I'm trying to get as many of the Christopher Nolan Steelbooks as possible because I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, and I did not have Tenet. So when he was selling this, and I think he got rid of it for like $10, so that was an immediate yes for me. And then continuing with the Alien is Prometheus and Alien Covenant. The Alien movies outside of AVP and those, I would really like to get on 4K, and I have my eye on Alien and Aliens on 4K, so I want to pick those up. But so these are the first two that I've gotten on 4K. And to be perfectly honest, like Prometheus is one that like I've watched, I've owned it on digital for years, and I've watched it several times. I know people aren't that excited about it, but I still really enjoy it. I really enjoy Prometheus and watch it a number of times. So looking forward to seeing it on 4K on disc to see what the difference is versus the digital version that I've been watching all these years. And then Solo, a Star Wars story. I think in last month's video, I said I saw this and passed on it at a Second and Charles when I was on vacation, but I got a good deal from my buddy on that, and so decided to pick this one up. I still want to get Rogue One. I know I have a very sparse Star Wars collection for someone who calls himself a Star Wars fan, but I've been waiting for most part to pick all these up on 4K. I wanted to pick up the original trilogy just to have them, and I think the 50th anniversary of Star Wars is in 2027. Yeah, because it came out in 1977. So the 50th anniversary. So I'm kind of expecting Disney to start their marketing machine and re-release some of the originals on 4K yet again. So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen to really kind of pick up a lot of the Star Wars movies on 4K. But if at that point they don't, then I'll reconfigure my plan. And now I'm going to go through basically the movies that I got from the flea market over the past, I would say 3 weeks. We don't always go to the flea market every Sunday, but this past month we had good weather. We were both kind of in the mood, and honestly, we're both early risers, and we woke up, including one morning when my wife was out of town. I woke up at like 4:30, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go and see what he has. And so it's $2.50 for each of these if you buy two, and generally I usually get two, even if it's one of those, if I have an odd number, rather than pay $3 for one, I'll pick up another one because there's usually something. Although with my collection growing, as most collectors know, there's fewer and fewer titles that I would be willing to buy or on the lookout for, so it gets a little bit harder to find stuff. But as someone who's still rebuilding his collection from where it was years ago, it's a little bit easier. First up is Super 8. I remember seeing this in the theater and walking out and being like, this is great. I can't remember what the other movie that I saw around this same time, but it had a lot of a younger cast, and I thought the cast in this one did a much better job. And I remember comparing the two, and I cannot remember what the other movie was off the top of my head, but I really enjoyed this movie, and this is one of those that I've been kind of debating on, but I never saw it for a price. But for $2.50, I can't beat that, so decided to go ahead and pick it up. Taken 2. I mean, do you really need to say anything more about this? The first two Taken movies are a lot of fun. Liam Neeson, they're just fun movies. I own the first one. I figure I'll go ahead and get the second one. I'm going to skip on the third one. Movie Warrior. This is a very enjoyable movie. Like I remember seeing this in theater. I've watched it several times. I've owned it on digital. This is just, I would say, it says as powerful and unforgettable as Rocky. I would tend to agree with that. It is just a very, very good movie. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. I'm a big Tom Hardy fan, so I really enjoyed this. And yeah, I don't even think you really have to be a fan of, like, I would say UFC or fighting movies or something, because the story in this is so strong that I think it's really worth watching. And I'm looking at the back. It's by Gavin O'Connor, the same guy who directed The Accountant and The Accountant 2. So no real surprise there. I picked up Jurassic World and Jurassic World Dominion, and you can see this was a former library copy. And I believe I have somewhere in here in one of the collections, I think I have Fallen Kingdom. Yes, I do. This is from a yard sale, so we're just going to take it out of the pile. So I picked up all three of the Jurassic World movies. I will go on record, I'm not the biggest fan of these three movies as a whole. I really enjoyed Jurassic World, the first one. I remember really not enjoying Dominion that much, but it's been a while. And then Fallen Kingdom, I kind of enjoyed, but at that point, I'd kind of fallen off. I'd say fallen off the series. But I love dinosaurs. I've always enjoyed the Jurassic Park series. I really like the original trilogy. The third one, I haven't watched in a while, so I need to rewatch that because I got the Steelbook collection of that. I didn't feel like I needed the Steelbook 4K of these because I don't enjoy them that much. I probably would buy this one because I do enjoy that one this much. But I do want to kind of sit back, obviously with the new movie coming out, to sit back and kind of rewatch all of these movies again just to see if maybe my expectations have been reset and I can enjoy them a little bit more because obviously they all did very well in theater. So maybe it was just me. Movie Hop. Never seen this, but my wife saw it when it was one of those when I was looking through the 2 for $5 stack of Blu-rays, and I think I had an odd number, and Michelle was standing there, and I was like, "Is there anything that you see that you want?" And she loves bunnies, and I don't know if she's ever seen this movie, but she picked it up and she was like, we were going to watch this at Easter and we didn't have it because I don't know if it's available on streaming. So for $2.50, added it to the collection, and I'm sure we'll get around to watching it in the not too distant future. Paddington 2. This is another one for $2.50. I picked it up because I've never seen the first one. I have the first one that I bought at the flea market not that long ago. And again, I told my wife, I was like, we need a movie night that is the not Disney movie night so we can watch some other movies because Paddington doesn't fit into Disney movie night. So we need to find a different movie night where we can just pick a random movie. And these two, along with the third one, I've heard are all very good. So I want to sit down and watch them at some point. The Lincoln Lawyer. This, I've never seen the series. I know there's a series on Netflix that my brother raves about, but I really enjoy the movie. This is one I was kind of a latecomer to. I saw it a few years ago for the first time, and I've thought about it a number of times, and I love Matthew McConaughey and figured I was like, well, for $2.50, I'm going to pick it up. Terminator Genesis. Again, this is kind of, I would say, my Arnold Schwarzenegger collection. I am a huge fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, always have been. My dad, he loved Arnold even back from his lifting days. The Terminator movies after T2 are of varying quality, and I remember kind of liking Genesis and kind of not, but I needed this and Dark Fate to kind of complete the Terminator collection. As you'll see, I finally added one of the crown jewels of that Terminator series was missing, but I corrected that as well. So I only need Dark Fate left. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is another one my wife picked up. We were looking through, and it was nice because the case was a little bit messed up and it had this on the front. So I initially thought it was a bootleg version, but then when I kind of took it out of, because it was sealed, when I took it out to add it to my Plex server, I realized someone must have just taken the insert out, or maybe this was meant to be an alternative cover, or the not the J card because it doesn't have a J because it's got that little bit of glue on the back, and it looks like someone just had stuck it there, so it still has the original artwork. I know I've saw this so long ago, but it's been a while, but my wife wanted to add it to our collection, so we did. And speaking of Predator, I added Predators to the list. I remember seeing this in theater. I love Robert Rodriguez and haven't watched this in a very long time, but as I'm working my way through to the Predator series, I will get to it. I think this was the third one. If I'm wrong, I mean, if you're not counting AVP movies, I think this is the third one. So I watched Predator 2, and then I started on the Alien movies. So I'm gonna go back and watch this one. Then I added Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. He had a couple different covers of this one available. One with Megatron, but obviously I like Bumblebee. He wasn't my favorite Transformer when I was growing up. Hot Rod was probably the one that I enjoyed the most outside of Optimus Prime. That's a lie. It was Hot Rod, Jetfire, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee were probably my top 4 Autobots at the time. And so pick this one up. Again, I think the first 3 are the Transformer movies that I enjoy. Outside of that, I'm not that big a fan. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. This is obviously going along with the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. These are ones that I'm just working on my pre MCU movie collection and added these along with the X-Men Dark Phoenix movie, kind of adding to these. Had a lot of trouble finding the Rise of the Silver Surfer movie at a price that I was willing to pay. I think with the new movie coming out, people are tending to raise up their prices. I just waited and found it at the flea market for $2.50, and I found this one. This one was $4. I found it separate, but it's in incredibly good condition. And you know what? I remember enjoying this movie. I saw it when it first came out in theaters. I was working in the theater when it came out, so I probably saw it for free. And then watched it when I had it on DVD back in the day. And obviously, with the resurgence of the Daredevil series and stuff like that, and kind of some, I think there was that talk of Ben Affleck's Daredevil coming back in Deadpool and Wolverine. I was like, you know what? I was like, I wouldn't mind going back to watch this again. And it's got Jon Favreau in it, so it was a no brainer for me. It was only $4. The movie Aloha, again, this is just to start completing my Cameron Crowe collection. I love Cameron Crowe as a writer and director, and I watched this movie with my wife a couple years ago and remember enjoying it. And for $2.50, I'm gonna add it. Stranger Than Fiction. This is a really good movie. If you have not seen it, I know Will Ferrell is hit or miss for some people. I would say my wife is not a comedy fan, so she's not a fan of Will Ferrell, but I think she might like this because this is a dramatic role for Will, and it is a lot of fun. I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but it is not what you expect going in from Will Ferrell, and I cannot recommend this movie enough. I really think it's a top-notch movie. The Magnificent Seven. I watched this on Netflix not that long, or say not that long ago. It's probably been a couple years, but I remember watching this and enjoying it. And I've kind of been on a Western kick lately with some of the old Clint Eastwood movies, and then I added another one, 310 to Yuma. So I've been a little bit of on a Western kick. So as I see Western movies kind of out in the wild, I tend to go ahead and pick them up because it's something I've been in the mood to watch recently. Another Transformers movie is Dark of the Moon. I found this at Salvation Army, so it wasn't the flea market, but the Salvation Army, and I think the day I went, it was even like $2 less, so I got this for $2. Not going to turn that down. And then preparing for the 4th of July, I always rewatch Armageddon, which I own on digital, but I watch this and I watch Independence Day every 4th of July, because who doesn't love a good disaster movie around the holidays? And this I still love. I own the soundtrack. I really enjoy this movie. It's a lot of fun. I watch it literally every year. Crazy Stupid Love. I'm trying to add more movies to the collection that my wife will be willing to watch, and I really love this movie. I think it's a lot of fun, but she obviously loves romantic comedies and things like that. So this was one when I saw for $2.50 to flea market. I was like, you know what? This is a movie that both my wife and I can enjoy. Den of Thieves. I watched this for the first time. I think it was on our flight to Hawaii in December because I saw the promotion for Den of Thieves 2, and I don't know how I didn't see this in theaters or when it first came out, but I ended up watching it not that long ago. I think probably after Den of Thieves 2 came out, and was really impressed and really enjoyed it. So when I saw it at the flea market for $2.50, I was like, well, I'm going to get it because I can watch that. And I know they have like the 4K Steelbook of this and the second one. I didn't enjoy the second one quite as much. I thought this one was very clever. And again, I'm fine with the Blu-ray version. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It's a Guy Ritchie movie. As you know, I love Guy Ritchie for the most part. When these type of movies, Lock, Stock, Snatch, those movies of his. So obviously adding this to the collection. This is an hilarious film. It is so good. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. Love and Basketball. This is another. I really enjoyed this movie. I watched this movie so much when it first came out, and this was one of those when I saw it sitting in the pile. I was like, I have to get this one because I watched it so much, and it's been a long time since I've seen it. Say it's not a. I guess you would qualify it as a romantic comedy. I'm not really sure what the classification would be, but it's just a really good movie. You do not have to be a basketball fan. Basketball, I would say, is the venue in which the story takes place, but it's not a basketball movie. District 9. This one I was kind of debating on whether or not I was going to wait for 4K to get, but I keep seeing it for like $10 and stuff like that on Blu-ray. And in that case, I'm like, you know what? I'll just wait until the 4K goes on sale. But then when I found it for $2.50, I'm like, you know what? I'll go ahead and get it and watch it because I love this movie. I watched it quite a bit when it first came out and when I got it on DVD. So I'm looking forward to kind of diving back into this and watching it again. couple's retreat. I thought I already owned this, but then not that long ago, I looked through my collection and realized I didn't. And it's Jon Favreau. It's directed by Peter Billingsley. This was one of those. It was written by John. As you know, I'm a big Jon Favreau fan, so I'm trying to get everything that he has. I think Zathura is coming out on 4K, if I remember. I don't know if it's this year or next year, but I think they're working on a Zathura remaster, and I'm definitely looking forward to adding that to my collection. And I made a mistake. I accidentally, with my Disney collection, because if you saw, I did the video on my Disney collection that I have behind me. I added Aladdin, but this is also came from my buddy in Michigan who gave me or sold me the Tenet and the Alien movies. So I picked up Aladdin because this is one we did not own on physical, and I think I got this for like $7, 4K, good classic movie. You're never gonna beat Robin Williams as Genie. And then a stack of Disney movies that I picked up at the flea market. The Aristocats. This is a movie I can't remember if I've ever seen it, but as someone who's trying to complete the Disney collection, had to add it to the collection. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas and Twice Upon a Christmas. Sorry, adding this to the collection, obviously just adding to the Disney collection. Bambi, another just classic Disney movie. We watched this a few weeks ago. Like, it kind of replaced the other movie that I had in mind for Disney movie night when it was my pick. I remember seeing this in theaters with my mom. I'm not that old to see it when it first came out, but obviously they re-released it in the 80s into theaters, and I remember going to see it. So it's got good memories for me of that respect, and we watched it probably about 3 weeks ago, and it's a very fun movie. Then Beauty and the Beast, just another one we didn't have, adding it to the collection. And then these next two I got from Half Price Books, and they still have the sticker on them, so you know how much I paid for them. But I paid $10.49 for Sleeping Beauty and $6.99 for Alice in Wonderland. These were ones whatever disc replay did not take, which I think was most of my Entourage series and a couple other ones. They gave me store credit for those. I think it was like $5 to $7 of store credit for the remainder of the stuff. And then I had a 10% off coupon that I had to use by the end of June at Half Price Books. So when I was looking through, these were the two from Half Price Books that I picked up and added to the collection. And then two other random flea market pickups was The Crow and Indiana Jones and Last Crusade on VHS. I won't say I'm a VHS collector, but I bought Swingers on VHS, and it was still sealed, as you saw in last month's video. And with that, I bought a pack of the VHS protective cases because obviously I wanted to protect that one, but it came in a pack of 10, and so I had 9 more. And so as I've been going to the flea market, I got The Crow for $2, and I think I got Last Crusade for $1. I remember watching this in the theater with my dad. We watched it at home a lot. So again, it's another movie. It's got good memories for me. I owned it on VHS, same as The Crow. And I remember sneaking in to see The Crow because I was not old enough to watch it when it first came out. So I think I bought tickets for Independence Day, which I'd already seen, and just went into The Crow showing. Do not regret it to this day. But so I picked both these up, honestly, just because I'm trying to use the cases that I have because I don't know what else to do with them other than that they'll sit there. The only other ones that I think I might add to the collection, at least that I'm thinking of, is Batman 1989, and I wouldn't mind the original Back to the Future. So those are the other two. So every time I go to the flea market, when I see some VHS sitting down, I just kind of rifle through them and see if they're of the limited set that I want. But I think I have this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess I need to add 6 more to the collection to use up all the cases. Then kind of continuing, some of these are flea market and then other ones are yard sales. So I'll kind of let you know which is which when I get to them. But I picked up the movie Greenland. This is a movie that really, I would say, surprised me when I saw it. I think I saw it on HBO Max, whatever it is. It was one of those, I was like, oh, it's Gerard Butler. I was looking for something to watch and didn't know what it was. And I was like, I'll give it a shot. And then being really surprised about it. Like, I know what to expect from a Gerard Butler movie going in, and I'm like, all right, I'll probably enjoy it. But this movie really surprised me, and I liked it way more than I thought I was going to. So when I saw it for $2.50, I was like, yeah, I'm going to add that because I really enjoyed watching this. This was not picked up because it was Jaws' 50th anniversary, and I know they released a 4K, and there's all kinds of versions of this, but I watched this, I think it was on Netflix, because I can't remember the last time I saw this. I remember seeing Jaws 3D in theaters as a kid, and That was back when they had the, what was it, the red and green glasses, so probably wasn't good 3D, but I remember it kind of freaking me out as a kid because I hadn't seen anything like it. But I don't remember the last time I had seen Jaws and sat down to watch it, and it was as good as I remembered it. I was never afraid to go into the water, so I picked this one up because it's a lot of fun. My sister-in-law really enjoys it, and I mean, it's Jaws and Steven Spielberg. You can't go wrong. The World's End. I realize I don't own the series of these movies that Edgar Wright did with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. I own Shaun of the Dead on digital, and I don't own Hot Fuzz. So this one I saw. Obviously, it's the third one. I remember seeing this in theaters. Remember enjoying it. So I guess I'm going backwards to try and find all three of these on physical. Patriot Games. I've never seen this, but I've been in a Harrison Ford mood recently. I picked up The Fugitive not that long ago and a couple of other of his movies, and this is one of those that I've always kind of wanted to watch and figured for 250 you can't beat it. The Meg. I picked up this the same day as Jaws. I guess I was in a shark mood. Maybe Shark Week's coming up and it's in the back of my head. I don't know. But I saw The Meg 2 not that long ago and really remember enjoying this one. And it's just, I mean, it's a fun summer movie. You don't have to think, you don't have to overanalyze or anything like that. I picked up Stargate. This was another $2 flea market pickup. I mean, this is one I watched probably on streaming not that long ago and remember enjoying. I think my memory might confuse things, but I think this and Fifth Element came out around the same time. And I remember enjoying them both. Fifth Element a lot more, but I watched this not that long ago, and it's still a really good movie and thoroughly enjoyable. And I was like, you know what, for $2, I'm gonna get my money's worth out of this. The Devil Wears Prada, and yes, that is the price I paid. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a lot of fun. Again, it's a movie that I think my wife and I can enjoy. But for 50 cents, there was just no way I was going to pass that up. These three are movies that my wife picked up for me when she was on vacation, and she was at I don't know if it was a Goodwill or a thrift store, but she picked up Men in Black 3 for me. This one I've been the only one I ever see in the wild is Men in Black International, which I have no interest in owning, but I never see the first two or the third one. So when she showed me they had this one out, I was like, yeah, go ahead and pick it up because I never see it. The movie Doubt. This is another one I think my wife and I would enjoy. I absolutely adore Philip Seymour Hoffman. I've probably seen everything that he's ever done, and I remember this being very, very good. I mean, it's Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is a masterclass in acting. This movie is great. And then the Hunger Games. I just enjoy this series. I own them on digital. Figured why not? I am kind of wondering if I'm going to end up getting them on 4K, but I think she paid $1 or $2 for this one, so it's the one that if we decide to upgrade later, it's not that big a deal. And then the final, I would say, flea market pickup is Stranger Things. This was a sealed copy of season 1 on Blu-ray. It's mint condition. Obviously, it's made to look like it's a little beat up and stuff like that. I've seen this at a half price book several times, but usually there's stuff peeled away from it and they want like $20-$30 for it. The guy was asking $15 for a factory sealed version of this. And I know it's on Netflix, but I love this packaging. I love the series, especially this season 1. And it's one of those I keep thinking about that I'm going to get rid of Netflix. And so I want to at least own season 1. I know they only did seasons 1 and 2 on physical, but in the back of my mind, I'm kind of wondering if they're going to release some sort of box set with all, 5 seasons once they finish airing. I doubt it, but they did release that Masters of the Universe Revolution and Revelation series on Steelbook when that finished. So maybe, fingers crossed, hopefully one day. And these 4 were pickups that we found on when we were, I would say, not during the flea market, but there was a community yard sale a couple weeks ago, and we decided just to go around and look, and you had to drive, and there was probably well over 100 houses that we went through. So we ended up, some rain came through. We decided that, that was enough, and we'll go through and see what they got. So at that point, I realized that this was the final X-Men movie that I needed to complete the collection. Somehow, I did not own Days of Future Past. I have no idea how I did not own this one. I really enjoyed Days of Future Past, and this was sealed. So I opened it and used the digital code to add it to my digital collection because I own the regular version, but I've never seen the road cut, so I'm actually looking forward to seeing the road cut version of this. And it has both the theatrical and unrated cut of the film, so I'm looking forward to watching both of those. But this is now completed my X-Men collection. My wife picked up Arthur Christmas. This is another one I've never seen, but it was $1. She said she thought it looked fun, so we'll give it a shot this holiday. Adds to the holiday collection, something to watch. The Independence Day Steelbook. This is one I can't remember how much I paid for. It was like $5 or $7. But again, this is the other movie, as I mentioned before, along with Armageddon, I watch every 4th of July because I'm a walking cliche. Really enjoy the movie. It is a yearly watch. I didn't own it on 4K or anything. This is the Blu-ray version of it. I'm perfectly fine with that. But when I saw the Steelbook and for less than $10, I mean, you're not going to beat that. It does have a little bit of a dent, which I think is going to be hard to pick up on camera, especially in the case. But it does have a little bit of a dent. But again, it was less than $10. I'm not that pressed about it. Then V for Vendetta, this is the Blu-ray of it as well. I already own the 4K, but they were selling this for $5. They had this in a box full of Blu-rays, and they were listing all their Blu-rays for $5. And when I walked up, I was kind of expecting it was like the X-Men movie was 10, and they had this one listed for 5. And I figured it's like if I want, it's only got a space for one movie in it, so you can only have the Blu-ray or the 4K. I'm like, I can either put my 4K disc in there and then use that one and have the other one with 2 Blu-rays, or I can just leave it. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but for $5, I love this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I watch it probably at least once a year. V for Vendetta, $5 Steelbook. And then the final set of movies, I would say, are ones that were just normal pickups, stuff that either new releases or things that I found on sale. There's a few of these that I got from Groove when things were going on sale, but then the other ones are just new releases and pickups from Amazon or various stores. So the most recent ones were the Lethal Weapon 4K. I didn't get the Steelbook. I originally had the Steelbook on pre-order, and then really kind of thought about it and was like, you know what? It's like, I enjoy this movie, but I wouldn't say this is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I do watch it every few years. Love Danny Glover. Really a lot of fun. Obviously, I think probably the birth of the buddy cop genre, or at least they did it the best. And everybody has tried to duplicate it since. So pick this one up. Looking forward to diving back into it. And I got Dark City. This literally came in yesterday, late last night, along with Lethal Weapon. So I have not even opened either of them yet, but the Arrow version of Dark City on 4K. I'm looking forward to watching this again. I watched it literally a couple months ago because when they were announced they were coming out with this, I was like, I don't know how I've never seen this movie because I just never saw it in theater, and it for whatever reason just passed me by. And then as time goes by, it just stuff falls off your radar. So I took that as an opportunity to watch it. And it was one of those movies when I got done with it, I was like, how had I never watched that movie? Why? It felt like someone had not told me a secret, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I was like, this is a movie that I think will probably look great on 4K. So I'm really looking forward to diving back into this in the, I would say, 4K version. The Jurassic Park trilogy on Steelbook. I'll be honest, the artwork I think is probably lacking. It's just pretty bare bones. I like the debossing on the logo there. It gets the point across. I mean, I'm not one I'm going to display front out like I do some of my other ones, but as you saw in my purge video, I got rid of the Jurassic Park 4K that I had. I have heard this is a really good transfer with the Dolby Atmos, so these are I'm probably more looking forward to than the Jurassic World ones to watch because I'm looking forward in my Dolby Atmos system and hearing what this sounds like. The Beastmaster. If you watched my video where I picked up the Golden Child, I got these together from Vinegar Syndrome. I originally ordered the Golden Child and then added the Beastmaster to the what was it, halfway to Black Friday sale that they were running. So this is another 80s classic from my childhood. I haven't dug in and watched it yet. I did watch the Golden Child last weekend, and it's still a lot of fun. The CGI does not hold up at all. Obviously, it's not really a CGI movie, but some of it you can tell has something left to be desired. But it's Eddie Murphy, man. It's Eddie being Eddie. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I picked up these two from Vinegar Syndrome during their monthly sale. The movie Swordfish, it was the Arrow release. It's got a really nice set. This was, I think, my first movie that I'd ever gotten from Arrow as this type of collection. Obviously, then I had a Dark City later. But I watched this a couple weeks ago, and I know someone told me this is an absolute terrible movie, which prompted one of my other videos that you've probably seen on the channel by now. But I enjoyed it. Like, I sat down and watched it. Yeah, it's cheesy, it's corny. It is that late 90s, early 2000s version of hacking. That part you just kind of overlook because Hollywood was trying to make hacking look sexy and trying to convey it to people who had absolutely no idea what it was at the time. So I'll forgive it for that. But a stellar cast and completely enjoyable. And I will say the opening scene in my surround sound system, mwah, it sounded amazing. Like, I literally was smiling from ear to ear just listening to that scene where the explosion is going off and they kind of pan around. It sounded phenomenal. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. There was part of me I was kind of waiting to see if they would do a steelbook for it, and they still might. I know they've probably done one in the past, but I never looked it up. I was like, I'm not going to pay the prices. But this movie is probably a core memory for me. I remember listening to the Guns N' Roses song ad nauseum. People probably got tired of me, tired of hearing it from me. I was a big Guns N' Roses fan, a Metallica fan anyway. But I watched this movie so much. I remember I begged my mom to take me to the movie to see this. She was not an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan because my dad was, and they were divorced at the time. So you can kind of put the pieces together there. But I remember begging her to let me go see this. She bought me the ticket. I went and saw it, and I watched this movie so many times over the years and was like, I have the original one, but I have to have the second one on 4K. And then I finally got the Kelvin universe of Star Trek. If you watched last month's video, you know I had the other two and I was trying to get this one in and it had been delayed in shipping. Well, that one never came, so I ended up going through Amazon and it was half price books on their Amazon shop and got a refund for it and then found another one for like $11. So it was a slight bit more. I think like $2 more than I originally was going to pay for it, but I wanted it. I got it used, and this one actually arrived. A Working Man. This one is like, I watched it with my brother not that long ago, and it's a Jason Statham movie. You know exactly what to expect if you've seen Beekeeper and, man, just pick a movie of Jason Statham's. If you've seen those, you know exactly what to expect out of this. That's exactly what I want. And then I was on my Star Trek kick, and I remember as a young person. I don't want to say adult because I was not even 18 yet, but my dad and I used to watch Star Trek The Next Generations along with Cheers. That was one of our shows that we watched all the time. And I realized when I was picking up the Kelvin Universe movies, I did not own any of the Next Generation movies. My dad really enjoyed the original Star Trek movies, and we watched those. But I always remember those being hit and miss. And his opinion of those was the ones that Leonard Nimoy directed were better. And it was like, what was it? The even ones were always the good ones, and the odd ones were not that great. Although Search for Spock is pretty good in my memory. I don't know if I want to pick up all the Star Trek movies because I remember the first one kind of being boring. And I watched that a couple years ago and was like, eh. And then I think Undiscovered Country, I don't enjoy at all, but I really enjoy 2, 3, and 4. So we'll have to see if I can stomach having an incomplete Star Trek collection. But I wanted to pick up these three. I watched First Contact not that long ago. For some reason, I was watching them out of order because I got First Contact in and my memory failed me and thought this was the first one. So I haven't watched Generations, so then I'm waiting to watch Nemesis. But I really enjoyed First Contact. The Borg is a great enemy that was created during this series, but I'm really looking forward to diving back into these. So I got a lot of Star Trek movies to watch over the next few. And then these next four I got through Grooves. They were doing 2 for 22 on their 4Ks, and I had been waiting a while, but I think, you know what? I may have been wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. So first we're going to go with Conclave. I think I got this on Amazon. It finally went on sale. My wife and I watched this kind of when we were doing our Oscar watch of movies, and I really enjoyed this movie. I think it is phenomenal. I really enjoyed the direction of this movie to the point where, like, I went back and watched All Quiet on the Western Front this past weekend. Another really great movie. It's one of those movies that, like, I think it's really great. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again because once I've seen it once, but then again, it's probably also one of those movies that's going to stick with me that I'm going to be like, I'm going to watch it. So we'll see. But I really wanted to pick up Conclave because since we finished watching it, and obviously everything with the Pope and living in Chicago, you hear about the Pope a lot. It's kind of made me want to go back and rewatch this again. So I figured let's add it to the collection. And it finally went on sale at Amazon for less than $20, which is kind of what I'd been waiting for. And now These next four I all got for Groove's 2 for 22 sale that they did. So I had been waiting. I picked up all three of the Bourne movies. Well, okay, I know there's Bourne Legacy and then Jason Bourne, but I picked up all three of the Bourne movies that I want. I don't care about the other two. I picked these up because these are another ones that I just really enjoy. I enjoy all three of these movies. I think they're all probably of equal quality, and I don't feel like I can. When I watch the first one, I just end up going through and watching the other two, and doing 2 for 22. I knew I was going to pick these three up, and then I'd been wanting to buy The Town for a while because this is another movie that I really enjoy. Obviously, I haven't opened any of them yet because I've been waiting. Obviously, I have a lot of movies that I picked up in the last month, and even if I watched one a day, there's no way I would have gotten through all these. So I picked up the three Bourne movies and The Town because it was the Groove 2 for 22 sale that they were doing at the start of the month, and added these four to the collection. That's the June haul for this month. I don't want to sit here and say that I think July will be less, but I do realize the last couple times we've been out to the flea market, which is really just last weekend, realize like there's not as many movies that I don't own now that I'm really looking forward to picking up, and I don't know new release wise what's coming out. So I'm not going to sit here and say July should be less, but it always depends on, what do you find for $2? There's a lot of yard sales that go on during the summer. How many times am I going to find a $5 steelbook for something like V from Vendetta, or a $7 steelbook for Independence Day? These are things I don't really account for when you're thinking about the upcoming months. So, life happens. As long as I stay within budget and I'm not paying exorbitant prices, like I said, I usually wait for sales and things like that and get stuff at a pretty good deal. I'm sure if I added this up, I don't know how much it would be, but especially with the $120 worth of credit at Disc Replay, it's not as bad as it could have been if I had paid full price out of pocket for all of these. I hope you enjoyed this video, this month's haul video. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. But please give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, do all the things. Definitely leave a comment in the section below about which of the movies that you picked up in the last month that you're most excited about. Is there anything coming up in July that you're really looking forward to? I'd really love to know. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, and don't forget, collect what you love.